January 12th, 2025. Deep in the waters of Challenger Deep, a ferocious battle takes place. Gypsy Danger, the last standing member of the Jaeger program, is fighting the most powerful kaiju the world has ever seen, Slattern. A Category 5 kaiju unlike any before it, being the first of its kind. Riley Beckett is at the controls of the Jaeger, and is executing the plan perfectly. Our last hope against the kaiju invasion is to go to the kaiju's own world and blow it to bits. Though the only way to do this is to use a kaiju. Gypsy clings on the Slattern with all his strength. As they fall into the breach, Riley ejects Mako, saving her life in doing so. He's ready to die for his world. Gypsy and Slattern go into the breach. The plan is a success. Though while falling through, Slattern gets one last boost of energy before his demise. He slashes at Gypsy, his tail slamming him off of him. Gypsy and Slattern are now sent in different directions from the breach. Gypsy is spiraling uncontrollably. The breach is so much more than they thought. It's not a gateway to the Antiverse, it's an intersection, a pass through to countless different worlds. As Gypsy is being pulled in every direction, Gypsy and Slattern are then blinded by a bright blue light. A portal, though not like the breach, a round, spiraling object, sucking them in like a whirlpool. Gypsy and Slattern try to reconnect to the Antiverse, but are sucked in. In the universe you know, Gypsy successfully kills Slattern and enters the Antiverse, blowing the precursors to bits. But today, let's change its direction in the breach, and let's ask the question, what if Gypsy Danger entered the Monsterverse?
Time. Space. Reality. It's more than a linear path. It's a seismic rift of endless possibilities, where a single roar can ripple out into infinite realities, spawning alternate worlds alongside the ones you know. I am the Overlord. I am your guide through these vast, chaotic realms. Follow me and ponder this question. What if?
Riley wakes up in the Jaeger deep underwater. He tries to stand, but something's off. The gravitational pull is somehow much more intense than it once was. His Jaeger, while lightweight in his world, is having trouble standing up even underwater. Gypsy's lights land on Slattern. He seems to be having the same issue. This kaiju, the most powerful thing they've ever seen, is struggling to even swim. Gypsy uses his boosters to stand, ready to finish the battle. Slattern starts to pick up some momentum and is ready to attack. But before he gets a chance, out of nowhere a massive kaiju grabs Slattern and swims away with him. Slattern roaring in fear, but quickly disappears into the dark waters. Riley turns on his microphone. Shatterdome, this is Gypsy. Where am I? All he gets is static. Shatterdome, do you read me? Again, there's no response. Riley's running out of air, and he has no way to get back to the surface piloting alone. Mr. Beckett gives up. This is where he dies. As the Jaeger's about to lose power, Riley hears something. Hello, Shatterdome, is that you? Where am I? I need help.
Who are you? And why are you on our radio?
My name is Riley Beckett. I'm the lone pilot of Gypsy Danger. I just took out Slattern and require immediate assistance.
Gypsy Danger? Slattern? Who and what is that?
The Jaeger? How do you not know about Gypsy?
Alright, listen buddy, you're on government radio waves, so I really recommend you switch channels and stop joking, or else I will find your real location and have you detained.
I'm not joking. My name is Riley Beckett. I'm a part of the Jaeger program and serve under Sergeant Pentecost, well, I did.
Pentecost? How do you know that name?
I can't explain. Please just send help. That's when a new voice comes on the radio.
Listen, son, you're messing with Monarch Outpost 54. If you wish to keep joking around, you will be arrested.
Pentecost! Riley sees his oxygen getting low and needs to act fast. I am not kidding. I need immediate help. There's something here in the water. A giant octopus thing. I need help now.
What color was it?
I don't know. From the brief moment I saw it, it seemed to be like a teal, blue, and pinkish? The comms go quiet for a moment, as Outpost 54 is in shock.
Get him in now!
Over the next 20 minutes, Monarch sends out their fleets to bring the Jaeger out of the water. By the time they get it open, Riley is passed out, but alive. They quickly take him to the medical bay and bring him back to health. When Riley wakes up, he's met with a group of soldiers and scientists around him. They berate him with questions. Who are you? What's your name? Who do you work for? Riley answers them all to the best he can. Enough! Riley yells. Where am I? What day is it?
It's December 29th, son.
An old scientist says. A whole year I was out? No, this can't be! The room goes quiet, confused looks on everyone's faces.
No, son, you've only been out for 3 days.
What? No, that can't be right. It was January 12th, 2025 when I went through that breach. And now you're telling me it's December 29th? Almost 2026? You're kidding, right? The room again goes quiet. What? Why are you looking at me like that?
The year is 2019.
No. I don't believe you. Where's Pentecost? He was on the phone. How? How is he talking? He died.
Well, I'm slightly insulted by that. I'm not that old, am I?
Pentecost says as he walks in the room. I watched you die. You and Stryker, you were blown to bits.
Son, I don't know how to sugarcoat this, but you, my feisty friend, you are from a different world. Come with me.
Riley's in shock to see a huge kaiju head hung up inside the base. Over the next few hours, Riley comes to terms that somehow he has ended up in an alternate reality. Riley is set down in front of the smartest minds of Monarch and is questioned. But after that, he asks a few questions himself. Alright, firstly, why is it so much heavier here? I mean, I myself am the same weight, but Gypsy, I could barely move the thing underwater. It's like she quadrupled in weight.
Well, Mr. Beckett,
One of the scientists chimes in.
you kinda did. You see, our world is much more than just surface and core. We have layers, such as the surface, of course, but there is the Hollow Earth and Axis Mundi, and many, many portals around our world. In short, our world is much more complex and more powerful than yours. I mean, the portals alone give off energy similar to stars. So yes, your mecha did get heavier. Why you yourself weigh the same? I'm sure that's just lazy writing on Goji Guy's end.
Goji guy?
Oh, never mind.
Okay. Alright, another question. Why is it 2019 here, but in my world it's 2025?
That one is harder to explain. You see, your people may understand it better as you have seemingly dealt with interdimensional travel before. But we have not, so our theories need more time to really be proven. But from our guess, it seems that all universes weren't made at the same time. Some were made after others, and others are simply branches of others. Your universe seems to have been made a few years before ours, so that explains the time discrepancy.
Okay, so what am I still doing here then? Why can't I just go back through the portal and go home?
Well, you see, our portals aren't like your,
Breaches. We call them breaches.
Yes, breaches, thank you. You see, our portals only send you around our Earth. They aren't interdimensional like yours.
So I'm stuck here?
It appears so, but with that being said, we do actually need your help.
For what?
Well, you see, we have our own kaiju, and not to brag, but they are much worse than yours. And after finding Slattern's body, we found that he, like your mecha, isn't used to our weight. And when examining your Jaeger, we found info on the Sarazawa scale. That sound familiar?
Yes, that's how we measure our kaiju.
Yes, well, firstly, we ran your measuring system by our kaijus, and the weakest one we know of would be at least a category 12.
What's the highest?
Well, that would be Ghidorah, or at least would have been until Godzilla killed him the other week, which would only have been capable because of... Anyway, Godzilla by our numbers would be anywhere from 62 to 120.
So what could I possibly do to help?
Well, you see, the portal you came through, it's not fully gone and very slowly opening, about a few millimeters per day. And given the info we found in Gypsy about the so-called precursors, we imagine they would come for our world next. So our idea is that you work on holding them off while we find a way to get you back home.
Deal! Riley snaps. Over the next few months, Riley adjusts to the new world, learns about the kaiju and any weaknesses they may have. Over time, he grows close to this universe's Pentecost, as he is a clone copy of his worlds. Though, while relaxing, the alarms go off. Everyone rushes to the observation bay. The breach has opened. Not only that, but due to its power, kaiju around the world, awake and asleep, are drawn towards it. Monarch uses the Muto head in the outpost and turns it on, replicating the Muto's EMP effect, but only for the Titans. Some kaiju headed that way turn back, not wanting to fight what they think is a hungry Muto, but most are unbothered. That's when it comes out. The breach blasts light and radiation, boiling water around it for miles. Out of the breach comes a kaiju. The scientist asks Mr. Beckett what it is and any weaknesses it may have, but he has no idea. He's never seen one like this before. It seems the precursors have done their research and have made a new batch of kaiju to challenge this new, more powerful world. Running the size and weight estimates of this beast, Monarch assumes its category to be 34, codename Tidebreaker. All Riley is able to pick up is that it seems to be some sort of hybrid, a mix between Leatherback, Knifehead, and Hardship. Before Monarch can send their weapons out to try and deal with the threat, the first kaiju arrives to challenge this new beast and try and claim the portal for its own. Using her jet-like propulsion underwater, Scylla has arrived. Scylla, using the Sarazawa scale, is running Cat 30. Scylla and Tidebreaker roar at each other, the water vibrating around them. In the process, they clash into each other. Scylla uses her legs and stabs deep into Tidebreaker. Tidebreaker's unbothered though. Using his leatherback-like arms, with his knife-head claws, he grabs and restrains Scylla. Using his hardship-style appendage, he stabs deep into Scylla's shell, breaking through it with ease. Riley collapses in shock. The scientists ask what's wrong. They learned how to fight against other kaiju. While in the Monsterverse, kaiju fight all the time, in Riley's world, they've never fought each other. But for them to be able to fight against kaiju this well, and learn that skill in such a short matter of time, the precursors, they're much smarter than ever thought before. Tidebreaker digs his claws into Scylla's legs and tears them out. Scylla screeches in pain as her green blood pollutes the water around him. Scylla is down. Tidebreaker, unfazed by Scylla's attacks, quickly heads towards Japan. Monica learns Japan's army evacuating as many people as they can. Tidebreaker then makes landfall. It seems Tidebreaker is headed to Mount Fuji. Tidebreaker destroys everything in his path, leveling buildings under his feet. He grins, ready to sacrifice himself to Mount Fuji. That's when, to his utter shock, Mount Fuji breaks open before his eyes. While the precursors know quite a bit about this world, they don't know where the other kaiju lay dormant. But now they know of a new one, Yamata no Orochi, a massive multi-headed dragon. Orochi hisses at Tidebreaker as they charge into each other. Orochi quickly overpowers his invasive kaiju, overpowering him and restraining him with his tails and heads. All his heads then blow out radioactive fire, quickly boiling and melting Tidebreaker. The kaiju roars in pain as he melts away. After a few seconds, Tidebreaker is no more. But the fact remains, precursors with just one attempt were able to adapt to this new world and take out one of its own kaiju. While Japan is in chaos, one building is left untouched, that being the headquarters of today's sponsor, Tokyo Treats in Sakurako. When it comes to satisfying your monstrous cravings for authentic Japanese snacks, Tokyo Treats and Sakurako are the ultimate kaiju-sized solution. Why bother stomping your way across the Pacific like a certain king of the monsters when these two incredible companies bring the treasure of Japan straight to your door? From delectable sweets to savory delights, their carefully curated snack boxes pack a punch powerful enough to make Godzilla himself roar in approval. Plus, the variety is so immense. It's like taking a snack tour of Tokyo without ever leaving your lair. Let's start with Tokyo Treats. This snack box brings the common snacks you'll find in the cities of Japan straight to your door. Filled with treats. You get it, Tokyo Treats? Each with their own unique flavor profile. This is the February box, aka next month, for those who can't figure that out. This box theme being Sweet Valentine. It is filled with items, ranging from Kit Kat Red and White, Super Red Bean Bread, to sweetened strawberry mochi, and soy sauce senbai. And hey, look, there's even dating advice. I know most of you guys need that. And then we move on to Sakurako. While Tokyo Treats will get you hooked on the flavors from the city, sometimes you want something more delicate, more warm. That's where Sakurako comes into play, bringing you the traditional flavors of Japan. This box theme being Valentine's Delight. It's filled to the brim with treats from local and family-owned businesses. And the coolest of all, each box comes with its own tableware. This month's comes with the plum furoshiki. These boxes also come with amazing teas. This box has the caramel hojita tea, a rich roasted green tea infused with sweet hints of caramel. Some snacks include the chocolate sable, the strawberry monica, strawberry chocolate crunch, chocolate yokan, and much, much more. And I am 100% certain I butchered most of those names. If any of this interests you, which it should, make sure to check out the first link down below. And if you do end up buying anything from Tokyo Treats or Sakurako, make sure to use code GOJIGUY at checkout to save $5 off your first Sakurako and Tokyo Treats boxes. Thank you Tokyo Treat and Sakurako for sponsoring this video. The snacks were amazing, and let's move on. Over the next few weeks, kaiju started to come out of the breach. Category 47 Voidclaw killed Nikika in the ocean, and then further killed Binyep, but was taken down by Methuselah. Category 54, Gozeroth, defeated by Tiamat, though it was able to take out her young, Leihamu, and a few others taken out by Godzilla himself in the oceans, such as Category 50 Dreadmaw and Category 63 Maguma. While he can still defeat them, even Godzilla is starting to feel the hits. These kaiju are getting better and better equipped for this world. Monarch, on the other hand, builds a new toy for Riley, introducing Gypsy Transcender, a heavily modified Gypsy Danger, larger, sleeker, and with a mostly gray color scheme. His plasma cannon has been replaced with a proton blaster, his swords have been infused with the strongest material on Earth, and the very edge of the blades have been infused with a secret stash of Pyrlon's Daleite, the only material in the universe harder than diamond. It's safe to say, Gypsy Transcender is a pretty good upgrade. If it were to be sent back to Riley's homeworld, none of the previous kaiju would stand a chance against it. Though it does need a co-pilot. As like a normal Jaeger, it's too much for a single person to handle. That's when Monarch introduces Riley's co-pilot, Ren Serizawa. Riley and Ren hit it off, becoming good friends, and luckily they are compatible for the Jaeger. Monarch estimates the next kaiju will appear in the next 48 hours, so they make sure to stand guard. And like clockwork, another kaiju comes out of the breach, this one being a Category 68, codename Infiltrator, a massive kaiju, standing over 200 meters tall, and an estimated weight of over 300,000 metric tons. Monarch uses the Orca to keep the other Titans at bay, so they can test out Gypsy. While excited, they do have the USS Argo on standby, along with the Chinese military. Infiltrator makes landfall, Gypsy waiting for them. Riley has been waiting to fight again, and now is his chance. The two monsters charge. Gypsy uses his boosters to blast into Infiltrator, pushing him back. Infiltrator fires back with a tail swipe, knocking Gypsy to the ground. This kaiju stomps his foot into Gypsy's back. Gypsy is quick to respond though, shooting up his built-in back spikes. Infiltrator screeches in pain. as 4 massive titanium cones are now deeply lodged into his foot. Gypsy then detonates the remote explosives within the spikes, blowing off Infiltrator's foot. With Kaiju immobilized, Ren and Serizawa quickly equip their blades, and then run towards Infiltrator. They boost into the air, and while in the air they twist, using the side jets to move them mid-air. Right as they're above Infiltrator's head, they then slice his head clean off his body, performing a perfect Barney flip. Off script here, you know how long it took to find the exact type of flip? It took over an hour to find the name of a flip, because I know if I got that wrong, somebody would correct me. So please, if you're liking this video, please make sure to subscribe. These what if videos take a lot of time and money to make. Between the thumbnails, the custom art, the end credit scenes, and even custom music. You subscribing helps fund these videos. So please check out my other what ifs, and subscribe if you're liking it. Gypsy lands on the ground, and as the pilots celebrate, they hear the Argo calling them. Run! Get out of there! Before Gypsy has a chance to respond, they are blasted to the ground with incredible force. The power of Infiltrator draws a certain kaiju to China. Godzilla. He's here, and he's mad. How dare this cheap knockoff of a Titan try to take his job? They don't have a choice. They have to fight him. They aren't quicker than him underwater, and it would endanger too many soldiers to try and get a proper helicopter carry out of there. They need to try to somehow have Godzilla yield. Gypsy looks at Godzilla, ready for battle. While Transcender is powerful by all means, it's only built to take threats ranging from category 70s to category 90s. Not a beast who is clearly above 110. If the duo wishes to survive, they need to work in perfect unison. And it will come down to sheer skill. Ren is nervous. He's never fought Godzilla in simulations, and Infiltrator just now is his first real fight. Riley looks over at him and tells him to calm down. They draw their blades once more, ready for battle. They charge. Gypsy weaves Godzilla, grabbing him by his dorsals and pulling him off balance. They pull him down and boost their knee right to his chin. Godzilla fumbles back, stunned, but quickly locks back in. Godzilla blasts a beam right at Gypsy, slamming into their chest. Gypsy falls back, but before the beam does too much, Gypsy at lightning speed swings his blades up to block the attack. That's when they notice the power of the Jaeger. It's increasing. Riley, you've seen Avengers, right? What? I mean, yeah, we have that. Why? You remember the Iron Man and Thor fight? You're a genius! They stand up, taking the blast of the beam. Once Godzilla is done, they retract their blades. All this newfound energy flowing into their fists. They rush at Godzilla and punch him straight in the face. Godzilla blasts back like a ragdoll. The Jaegers then quickly jump onto Goji and deploy their blade, but they stop it inches away from Godzilla's gills. Godzilla looks at them in fear, but then a sudden look of realization flashes his face. The pilots look confused, but they retract their blade back in and stand up, and offer him a hand, trying to convince Godzilla that they are the enemy. Godzilla swipes them back to the ground and stands up. Looking down at them, he puffs steam from his nose and walks off, acknowledging their skill, and leaving them for another day. Getting back to Outpost 54, Ren and Riley are mobbed with praise. They're the first humans to ever defeat Godzilla in combat. Not only that, Godzilla acknowledged their power and left them to live. Ren and Riley go to dinner and talk about their battle. Dude, that was awesome, Ren exclaims. I know, right? That was so much cooler than any of the fights I've had in the past. I mean, dude, when you put the blades up to absorb his beam, genius. Ren looks at Riley confused. What? What is it? I thought you made Gypsy do that. Ren says confused. No, I followed your lead. You thought it. I felt it when we were linked. Well, that can't be right. I felt you think that, and I follow what you were doing. They look at each other confused. And now that they're on that topic, they did notice a few things during the fight. Godzilla, he acted weird towards them at the end. And some of their moves didn't feel planned. Rather, they were more like muscle memory or instinctual, as if Gypsy itself was making the choices. They leave the dining hall and find Pentecost, and ask him if anything weird happened during the Godzilla fight. Pentecost freezes and turns around slowly, a single bead of sweat rolling down his head.
What? No, that was all you guys back there. You two took down Godzilla all by yourself. I suppose that's the weird part, eh? 2 guys and a robot is what it took. Well, I must be on my way now. Sorry, gentlemen.
He says as he hurriedly makes his way down the hall. Ren, I've known Pentecost for years. I know how he acts, and I can say for certain he knows something. What is it? I'm not sure, but something. Here, tonight, we need to sneak out of our bunkers and go to Gypsy. I know where we can find its memory, and it will show each of the pilot's thoughts and choices throughout the battle. That night, Ren and Riley sneak out. The outpost is dark and quiet. Everyone is in their rooms or outside of the outpost. And there, in the new hangar bay, Gypsy Transcender stands tall. Ren and Riley sneak through the vent opening on his leg and climb up the Jaeger from the inside. They make it to Gypsy's head, but they must stay very quiet, or else they'll alert the automatic boot-up system. They crawl to the back of the head and open up a panel with a hard drive. They plug it into a laptop and boot up its memory. They look through the data and see 2 Rs, one for Ren and one for Riley, showing their thoughts throughout the battle. Everything looks fine. It must have been the 2 were just fatigued or something. But as they're about to close out, something catches their eye. And as they scroll back down, to their shock and horror, in between the R's, there's a A. There's a 3rd pilot, Ren says. Riley stays quiet, shocked from the revelation. It's right when they block the beam, and another when Godzilla looked surprised. They click onto the memory to show it in depth. Normally, the data shows the exact thought and time. When they click on the letter A, there's nothing. No footage, just static. But there is something that truly scares them, the time. There is a name to the file, titled Practice Counterattack. But what really made it weird is that this counterattack wasn't learned by either of them a few years ago. Rather, the date on it said 200 million years ago. There's a third pilot, and whatever it is, it has been around for millions of years. Ren and Riley stay quiet, and they don't tell anyone about their new revelation. Over the next few weeks, they fight many new kaiju, some being powerful enough where even Godzilla comes to help. Over time, Godzilla starts to trust the Jaeger, knowing who the third pilot is. The pilots are getting good, and they're ready for anything that comes next, which they'll need to be, because Monarch expects that the precursors will have a final attack soon, a kaiju which by their guess will be over a category 200. Ren and Riley try to figure out who the third pilot is, plan their attacks before battle to see what the third pilot does, and they don't talk at all, as they listen closely over the intercom to try and hear anything. And over the past few battles, they have picked up on it. Moves that they didn't plan out, attack patterns they didn't do, and somehow knowing where to attack a kaiju's weak spot, as if the pilot has a background with kaiju. And most importantly, when fighting in complete silence, they did once hear something. Though the battle sounds and calls from the outpost made it hard to hear, they were still able to pick up on something. It was muffled and hard to make out throughout all the background noise and static, but from what it sounded like, it was a roar. After a few days, the alarms go off. Ren and Riley suit up. Pentecost gives them a stern look.
Don't get any funny ideas now.
He says. They get into the Jaeger and head to Alaska, where they assume the final battle will take place. As they drop from the sky, Godzilla is ready and waiting for them. He nods his head to the Jaeger, but not to Riley and Ren. They are confused but still ready for battle. That's when the water peels back from the shore. Whatever this thing is, it's huge. The water comes rushing back. Waves over 30 meters tall, but the two parties aren't phased. That's when they see it. A new kaiju. Category estimate 204, codename Kaiser. A huge beast. Its body is constantly changing shape. The precursors clearly took inspiration from Godzilla's past foe, Shinemura. Gypsy deploys its blades, and Godzilla charges himself up. The scientist's voice comes over the mic. Mr. Beckett, we have found a way to send you home. We call it the Gotengo. It's a huge floating ship. In fact, we were able to replicate the energy from your old Jaeger. It made it replicate its properties of your universe. Doing so, we built a practically weightless ship. It's truly remarkable. Alright, well, get it ready. We'll be done with this guy in no time. The two parties rush in, Godzilla and Gypsy side by side. Kaiser rushes in himself. His towering body immediately overwhelms the two, knocking them back. Gypsy with his blades ready, goes in, slicing through its arm, though to no avail. The arm simply reattaches like nothing happened. Godzilla fires his beam, but again, nothing. Sure, it blasts right through him, but he just regenerated it. Kaiser swings his arm out and flings the two back with ease. Gypsy boosts onto his feet, but Godzilla isn't so quick. Kaiser sends a massive spear-tipped tentacle his way. It will surely kill Godzilla. The pilots see what's about to happen, but before they can react, they're ejected from the Jaeger, being packed up and blown out of the head. A deafening scraping is heard. The pilots get out of their escape pods and look over. Gypsy is standing over Godzilla, having taken the blow. The pilots watch, expecting Gypsy to fall, but as the tentacle is taken out of him, it simply stands up and gets Godzilla to his feet. Godzilla roars, knowing his long-lost friend Anguirus has taken over. Deep inside Outpost 34 the entire time, there's been Anguirus' skull, helping Riley and Ren take the main load off of the Jaeger, while fighting Godzilla woke Anguirus from his sleep. His memories came rushing back. Godzilla and Gypsy, or well, I guess Anguirus, stand together, ready for battle. Get in! The duo hears above them. They look up. The Gotengo has arrived, piloted by none other than former US Marine Ford Brody. We gonna kill this thing or what? The duo climb in and get a front row view of the battle. Godzilla, Anguirus, and the Gotengo. Monarch actually knew this kaiju would work the way it does. They purposely planted a little bit of Shinemura's cells in the breach, and the precursors took the bait. With that in place, they can easily kill him with a single attack, or at least they think. The Gotengo fires an absolute zero beam, freezing a large part of his body. Godzilla and Anguirus take the chance and attack. Godzilla fires his beam, blasting through Kaiser, destroying a large part of his chest. Though, due to being frozen, he can't regenerate it. Aang shoots some titanium cones at Kaiser and blows them up, again blasting a large part of Kaiser to bits. Kaiser starts to quickly thaw from the freeze, starting to regenerate. Ford gets new commands from Pentecost, and the Gotengo blasts away, leaving the fight. What are you doing? We need to help them. They can't beat that thing. My job is to get you home, Mr. Beckett, Brody snaps back. But they'll die if we don't. Mr. Beckett, please. The breach is as open as it will ever be. After this, the precursors will stop for a while, and we have developed a bomb to shut it. So either you leave now, or you'll be stuck here for good. I don't care, Riley snaps back. I signed on to the Jaeger Force not to run away like a coward. No. I didn't watch my brother die, so I gotta hide like a little kid from the boogeyman. No. I signed on to save lives. Whether in my world or not, I have a duty to fulfill. And if we don't turn around right now, those two kaiju, the only thing standing against that beast, will die. And your world, Mr. Brody, will be in much worse shape than mine. Riley, Ford chokes up, knowing Riley's words to be true, and recalling the memory of saving Godzilla's life all those years ago. Pentecost's voice comes onto the line.
Mr. Brody, why has the Gotengo stopped?
I'm doing my duty. Ford says as he unplugs the radio. Get up here. We have a kaiju to fight. They join up front and blast full speed back to Kaiser. Aang and Goji are holding him off, but he's too large, and their freezing beam won't do much at this point, though it can't slow him down. Using the Gotengo, they send a message to Anguirus to then tell Godzilla. Aang quickly replies with a thumbs up, and the plan is put into motion. The Gotengo blasts full speed through Kaiser, making his gloopy body fall. While having a semi-liquid body is great for surviving blows, any attack you take will slow you down, as you need to recollect yourself, which is exactly what the trio plans to exploit. Godzilla fires his beam, and Aang uses his blaze to constantly chop up his body. Kaiser doesn't have a chance to recombine, but that's when he retaliates. Kaiser blasts his body apart, sending the three far back. He quickly adapts, turning from a liquid-like body to hard, durable bone. He takes a big risk, but it's his only choice. Kaiser changes his body, sculpting it into a bony, rigid body with a huge bone of X across his chest. Monster X is born. He stands above the kaiju, his body slim but athletic. He charges the trio. The Gotengo fires his rockets and beams, but to no avail. Gypsy uses his swords, but they're met with a deafening scrape as the blades fail to cut. Godzilla fires his beam, melting some of the bone at best, but other than that, no damage was done. Monster X grabs Godzilla and swings him into Anguirus. Riley, Ren, and Ford need to make something up quick. Give me the controls, Ren says. Ford obliges. You two know more than I do. Riley, what are some common weaknesses from the Breach Kaiju? And Ford, what are some issues our kaiju face in this world? My kaiju, their blood, it's explosive. If we can get through its skin, we could try to catch it ablaze. Ooh, and Ren, our kaiju have a weakness to EMPs. It makes them much weaker and less durable. Okay, so you're telling me, if we can get an EMP to make him less durable, we could possibly break through his shell and try to get Godzilla to beam his blood, making it explode? They all go quiet at the same time. The head! The Gotengo blasts away, heading to Outpost 54, while Godzilla and Aang hold off Monster X. Godzilla pulses, getting Monster X off him, while Aang fires all his missiles he's got. Monster X fires a yellow beam, blasting them back. Godzilla shields Aang from the blow, burning his back severely. Though, unbothered, Godzilla and Anguirus rush back in, the Jaeger grabbing onto Godzilla's back. Monster X runs in to tackle them, but Godzilla quickly spins his body, launching Aang off of his tail. Anguirus slams into Monster X's head, while Godzilla swipes his feet. Monster X being slammed into the ground, hard. Aang deploys his blades. While not cutting through Monster X, they lodge deep into his smaller heads. Godzilla beams one of the blades, causing it to heat up significantly, and melting some of Monster X's bony armor, forcing him to use more of his resources to create new bone. If they can keep that up, he won't be able to keep covering his wounds. Monster X, using the three heads in unison, releases a deafening roar, causing Godzilla to fall back. But Anguirus, being a robot, isn't affected. Monster X stands and throws Aang off him, Monster X stomping his foot onto the Jaeger. Anguirus can't fire his chest beam, but charges up his proton blaster, firing a huge energy blast into Monster X's ankle. Monster X instinctually raises his foot off of him, just for him to be tackled by Godzilla. Goji now being enraged, even to the point of bloodlust. All strategic efforts are thrown out the window. The only goal now is to kill the beast. Godzilla scratches at Monster X, scraping into his bone. Monster X blasts out his beam, sending Godzilla off of him. Anguirus and Godzilla are on the ground, out of breath. Monster X charges up his final blast, ready to kill the two off. But before he has the chance, the ground shakes, and Monster X falls into a large pit. While the Titans were fighting, a nearby kaiju heard the commotion, and while small, he takes his job of protecting the Hollow Earth portals very seriously. The Frostvark is here. He dug out a massive pit for Monster X to fall into. He rushes over and yells at the two to get up. Godzilla is surprised by this little guy's attitude. Godzilla is about to roar, telling the Frostvark to watch who he's talking to. But as he opens his mouth, the Frostvark slaps him across the face. Godzilla is stunned but gets the memo, and gets up alongside with Anguirus. The three stand, as Monster X rises from the ground, steam blowing out of his nose. Anguirus tells Godzilla it's time. Godzilla looks at him confused, but before he has a chance to react, Aang kicks him back to the ground and runs at Monster X. Little to Godzilla's knowledge, Aang is going to die, as due to taking the blow to the chest from earlier, his cooling system got destroyed. Aang runs and attaches himself to Monster X. Monster X tries his best to get him off, but it's too late. Anguirus charges up every weapon he has, and before Godzilla can try to stop him, Anguirus goes thermonuclear, blowing up the force of millions of hydrogen bombs, destroying all the bone on Monster X's body. But he survives. He quickly regenerates bone around his body, though, due to the attack, from here on out, he can't regenerate anymore at all. That's when the Gotengo gets back. The Muto head has been airlifted in. The three men get ready to blast out of an escape pod. Once they do this, Riley's chance to get home is truly gone. But he doesn't care. They send all the energy from the Gotengo into the Muto's head, briefly powering it on, and causing an EMP. The three then eject from the ship. Godzilla and Monster X fall, both weakened. But Monster X quickly gets up, not knowing about his new weakened state. He grabs Godzilla by the gills and lifts him. He's ready to kill the king, smiling. The Precursor's ready to attack as well. That's when Outpost 54 sends a new test weapon into the breach, the Oxygen Destroyer. Causing such a vast explosion, it overwhelms the breach's portal and causes it to shut. Monster X, just for a brief moment, loses control, not being able to receive orders from his creators. In that brief time, Godzilla gets loose and beams him back. Monster X snaps back into reality, and it's ready to finish this. The three men watch from afar, though their eyes are drawn to something else. But before they can even react, a huge spike is stabbed through Monster X's back, stabbing all the way through his stomach. Wait a second, that's not a spike. It's a tusk. Behind Monster X, having snuck up during the commotion, Behemoth has made it to Alaska. Using the nearby portal, Godzilla charges up all his radiation and fires his beam into Monster X's body, blowing him to bits, killing the final breach kaiju. The three men cheer from afar as the three kaiju look at each other and head back home. The Frostvark slowly dragging pieces of Monster X's body to eat later. And that's where Riley Beckett's story ends. For now. As trust me, Pandora's box has just been opened, and there's no telling what may come next. I really hope you all enjoyed this video. And if you did, please subscribe. And don't leave just yet, there is an end credit scene. But make sure to go check out Tokyo Treats and Sakura Code down below. And check out my other what ifs if you like this one. And as always, keep collecting. Goji Guy out. See ya.